Hello everyone. I'm the storyteller from the channel Whispered Tales and I'm here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from? At what time are you watching? Now, get comfortable and relax. It all began with a link. Jason Harris was an average 27-year-old man living alone in a small but decent apartment on the outskirts of Chicago. He worked a remote tech support job that barely paid the bills, and his life had become a repetitive blur of work calls, cheap instant noodles, and endless scrolling on his phone late into the night. On a rainy Thursday night, as thunder rumbled distantly, Jason stumbled across a Reddit thread titled, "Apps That Shouldn't Exist." Most of it was the usual internet garbage, cursed calculators, glitchy knockoff games, and AI chatbots that spewed gibberish. But one post caught his eye: Night Whispers, do not install. Curiosity gnawed at him. The original poster claimed that Night Whispers was an app that would contact you at exactly 3:33 a.m., whispering things that no one else could hear. The post ended with a chilling warning: once you download it, you can't uninstall it. It learns your fears. Jason laughed under his breath. This was the internet, after all. He clicked the link anyway. The download page was unsettlingly bare. No reviews, no company information. Just a black screen with the words, "Let us in," and a single download button. He hesitated but pressed it. A brief vibration ran through his phone as the app installed. Its icon was simple, a crescent moon with an eye in the center. That night, Jason fell asleep with his phone beside him, as usual. At 3:33 a.m., his phone buzzed. Half asleep, Jason squinted at the screen. It displayed nothing but static. Then a soft whisper, almost inaudible, came through the speaker: "We see you, Jason. We know." A chill ran down his spine. He fumbled to close the app, but it wouldn't shut down. He powered off the phone. Still, the whispering continued, faint but persistent, from somewhere inside his room. He turned on the lights. Nothing. No source, no explanation. The next day, Jason brushed it off as sleep deprivation. He told himself he had been dreaming. But that evening, when he checked his phone, the app was still there, and now it had access to his microphone and camera. Around 10 p.m., while brushing his teeth, he noticed his phone propped against the bathroom mirror, camera facing him. He didn't remember putting it there. And then the whispers returned. This time, they said something new: "Tonight, the door will open. Do not check." Jason's stomach dropped. What door? He lived alone. At precisely 3:33 a.m., the whispering started again. Louder. Clearer. Do not check the door. Do not check the door. But of course, human curiosity is a stubborn thing. Jason slipped out of bed, the hardwood floor cold beneath his feet. He tiptoed toward the front door, each step weighed down by dread. As he approached, he noticed something horrifying: the deadbolt was slowly unlocking itself. "Nope," he muttered, heart pounding. But before he could stop himself, the door creaked open by an inch, revealing only blackness beyond. No hallway, no neighbors, no light, just darkness. An unnatural darkness that seemed to pull at the edges of reality. And from that darkness, a voice, deeper and more distorted than before, spoke: "Come outside, Jason." We're waiting. He slammed the door shut, bolted it, and pushed his couch against it for good measure. He didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, Jason tried everything. Factory reset. Antivirus scans. Even replacing the phone. But the app was always there, reappearing as soon as he turned the new device on. It even showed up on his work laptop, flickering briefly before vanishing. And the whispers evolved. They weren't just limited to 3:33 a.m. anymore. They started in the shower, in the elevator, during work calls. Sometimes, when he looked at reflections, mirrors, windows, puddles, he saw movement behind him, even when he was alone. His friends thought he was losing his mind. "Bro, delete the app," his buddy Marcus said over a beer. Jason didn't bother explaining it anymore. They wouldn't believe him. One night, desperate for answers, Jason returned to the original Reddit thread. But the post was gone. The user's account had been deleted. In its place, a single comment from an anonymous user: "You shouldn't have downloaded it. Now they know your name." Jason's blood ran cold. He tried Googling "night whispers," but found nothing, as if the app had been scrubbed from the internet. That night, he put on headphones and blasted music to drown out the whispers. But when the clock struck 3:33 a.m., his music app crashed. The whispering cut through the silence once more, but this time, they spoke his childhood nickname, a name no one online could possibly know. "Little J. You thought you could hide from us?" Things escalated quickly. His lights flickered without explanation. Doors opened and closed on their own. His phone began texting random numbers in his contact list, sending them cryptic messages like, "Are you awake yet?" and "We're almost here." But perhaps the most terrifying moment came 3 nights later. Jason woke up to find his bedroom door ajar. And standing just beyond the threshold was a figure, tall and thin, with eyes that glowed faintly like dying embers. Frozen with fear, Jason couldn't move, couldn't scream. The figure simply watched him for what felt like an eternity before whispering, "One more night. Then we come in." And then it was gone. Jason had reached his breaking point. He searched every dark corner of the web, reaching out to paranormal forums, occult specialists, even conspiracy theorists. Finally, a message appeared in his inbox. No sender, no timestamp. It simply read, "Meet me at Grant Park, midnight. Come alone. I can help you." Against his better judgment, Jason went. The park was empty, save for the occasional rustle of wind through the trees. At midnight, a figure emerged from the shadows, an old man wearing a tattered coat and wide-brimmed hat, his face obscured. "You've seen them, haven't you?" the man asked without preamble. Jason nodded. "Night whispers," the man said. "It's not an app. It's an invitation. You accepted. Now they're here. How do I stop it?" Jason demanded. "You can't stop it. But you can delay it." The man handed Jason a small, rusted key. "Lock the door at 3:33 a.m. and don't listen to what's on the other side. No matter what they say." "What's the key for?" Jason asked. The old man vanished into the darkness without another word. That night, Jason sat by his front door, key in hand, heart hammering. The clock struck 3:33 a.m., and the knocking began. Slow. Methodical. Then the whispers. Louder than ever before. Jason, let us in. We brought her. We know you miss her. Don't you want to see her again? His breath caught. They were talking about his sister, who had died 5 years ago in a car accident. He hadn't told anyone how much guilt he carried. How could they possibly know? Tears welled in his eyes, but he clutched the key tighter. The knocking grew frantic. The door shook on its hinges. Jason, please. It's so cold out here. We just want to come inside. He fought the urge to open it. Sweat poured down his face. Minutes stretched into hours until, finally, the clock hit 4 a.m., and everything fell silent. He slid to the floor, exhausted, trembling. But as he drifted off to sleep against the door, one final whisper slid into his ear. Tomorrow, we knock on the window. Jason didn't sleep much the next day. Every noise, every shadow seemed louder and darker than before. Even the comforting hum of daylight filtering through his windows gave no relief. Because now, he knew where they would knock next. The window. That night, he prepared as best he could. He covered every window with blankets, nailed them shut, and pulled his couch against the largest one in the living room. He left every light on. He made coffee strong enough to keep him awake all night. But when 3:33 a.m. approached, the power cut out. The apartment plunged into darkness. And then came the first tap. Soft, deliberate, like a fingertip brushing against glass. Tap. 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 Jason clutched the key in his pocket, but there was no door to lock this time. The tapping turned to knocking. Louder. More urgent. Jason, let us see you. Let us inside. He backed into the kitchen, heart hammering. Then, against all logic, his phone buzzed. A video call request. The caller ID? Unknown crescent moon dot. Hands trembling, Jason declined the call. A moment later, his phone's screen lit up on its own, showing the camera feed from the window. And there they were. Shapes. Dozens of them. Gaunt, featureless silhouettes pressed against the glass, their faces smooth but for those same glowing ember-like eyes. And they whispered in unison, almost time. Jason couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his jacket and fled his apartment, leaving the whispers and knocking behind. The city streets were eerily empty. He drove without direction, eventually parking outside an old library downtown. It was one of the few places still open 24/7. Inside, the librarian gave him a puzzled glance but said nothing. Jason wandered to the paranormal section and scanned the spines for anything that could explain what he was experiencing. He found a dusty, leather-bound book titled Veils and Voices, Portals to the Whispering Ones. Flipping through it, he froze on a chapter called The Invitation. It described an ancient belief in entities that existed on the edges of human perception. They reached out through symbols, rituals, and modern digital mediums. An invitation could be sent through dreams, mirrors, or now, technology. The book warned, if one accepts the invitation, the whispering ones will begin to erode the barrier between their world and ours, step by step. First contact. Then observation. Then entry. At the bottom of the page was a line underlined in crimson ink, if you cannot destroy the invitation, you must find the quiet man. He alone holds the lock and the silence. The quiet man. Could that have been the old man from Grant Park? Determined, Jason left the library and returned to Grant Park the next night at midnight. The park was empty. Cold winds swept leaves across the pavement. For an hour, Jason waited, calling out softly, "Quiet man? Are you here?" Nothing. But just as he was about to give up, a faint hum filled the air. Streetlights flickered. And from the shadows, the old man emerged again. "I told you they'd be back," the quiet man rasped. "What do I do now?" "They're at my window," Jason pleaded. The quiet man sighed. "You've bought yourself some time with the key. But time runs thin. You must find the silence room." "Where is it?" "Underneath where it all began." Jason blinked. "The Reddit thread? My apartment?" The quiet man gave a crooked smile. "Find your answers in the code." Before Jason could ask more, the man faded away like smoke in the wind. Jason went back home, dread thick in his stomach. The moment he entered, his phone vibrated violently. A message from the Night Whispers app: "You can't hide from us. But we'll give you a head start." Suddenly, his phone screen glitched, lines of corrupted code scrolling rapidly. Jason, acting on instinct, screenshot the code and analyzed it on his laptop. Hidden among the gibberish was a set of GPS coordinates. They pointed to an abandoned data center on the outskirts of the city, a place long rumored to have hosted illegal AI experiments years ago before it was shut down. Jason made his way there the following night. The data center was a monolith of decayed concrete and broken glass. A metal sign swung from rusted hinges: Ethra Tech Research. Inside, the air was stale, filled with the smell of mold and old wires. His flashlight flickered as he descended into the basement levels. There, in the sub-basement, behind a rusted door, he found it. The silence room. An empty space, covered floor to ceiling in outdated soundproofing panels. In the center sat an ancient terminal, its screen still faintly glowing. Above it, written in faded paint, "Speak not. Listen not. See not." Jason approached the terminal. The screen displayed a prompt: "Remove invitation." Y/N. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. But as he was about to press Y, the terminal flickered and a new message replaced it. "But you invited us in, Jason. Why send us away? Don't you want to see her again?" Images flashed across the screen, photos of his sister, laughing, alive. His throat tightened. "We can bring her back. Just one word, yes." Jason shook his head. Tears streamed down his face. He had to let her go. He pressed Y. The building shook. A deafening, distorted wail filled the room as if something ancient and wrong was being pulled back through the veil. Then silence. Real, complete silence. Jason collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by the sudden absence of the whispers. For the first time in days, he felt alone, truly alone. But the victory was short-lived. As he exited the data center, his phone buzzed one last time. A notification from Night Whispers: "Temporary lock engaged. We will return. 3:33 a.m. Jason's relief curdled into dread. He had delayed them, but not destroyed them. The invitation was removed. But the door, once opened, never truly closed. And somewhere, beyond the veil, they waited. Whispering his name. Waiting for him to listen again. Jason spent the next day in frantic preparation. He searched for references to the dead hour, a period spoken of in whispers across forgotten corners of the internet. Threads, blog posts, and encrypted forums all hinted that 3:33 a.m. wasn't just a time, it was a threshold. The world was weakest then, and the veil between realities, thinnest. He learned of an ancient rite called the closing, a final defense against the whispering ones. But it required more than silence and solitude, it needed a witness. Someone who could speak the closing words aloud when the veil thinned. Jason had no one. Until he thought of her. Maya. His ex-girlfriend. Someone he'd driven away long before this nightmare began. But she'd always believed in the strange and unexplained. Maybe she would believe him now. He called her late in the afternoon. His voice trembled as he spoke, and at first, she laughed nervously, thinking it was one of his elaborate pranks. But when she heard the fear in his voice, real, raw, unmistakable, she agreed to meet. They met at a small cafe where Jason laid it all out. The app, the whispering ones, the silence room. Maya listened without interruption, though doubt flickered in her eyes. "You really believe they're coming back tonight?" she asked. "I know they are. I saw them. And I can't stop them alone." Maya sighed, then gave a small, hesitant smile. "All right. Let's save your haunted ass." That night, they returned to the silence room. Jason had found old schematics indicating an emergency backup generator. They powered it up, restoring weak lighting to the subbasement. He reconnected the terminal and reactivated the soundproofing system. As 3:33 a.m. approached, Jason and Maya recited the words of the closing, which Jason had found pieced together from fragments online and passages in Veils and Voices. But as they spoke, the air thickened. The soundproofing panels began to tremble. And then came the voice. "You bring another? Good. More eyes to watch. More minds to fill." The room grew impossibly cold. Shapes formed in the shadows, pressing against the boundaries of the silence room. Their ember-like eyes pierced the dim light. Jason clutched Maya's hand, guiding her through the final lines of the ritual. But the whispering ones began mimicking their words, distorting them, corrupting them into something dark and wrong. Suddenly, the terminal flickered one last time. "One more choice, Jason, open and she lives. Close and she fades." And then, on the screen, Maya's reflection, eyes hollow, smile wrong. "Don't listen," Maya shouted, squeezing his hand. Jason knew it was another trick. He shut his eyes and spoke the final word of the closing. Silencio. The room exploded in blinding white light. A sound like tearing silk echoed through the walls. Jason and Maya fell to the ground, unconscious. When they woke, the silence room was empty. Clean. The rust and decay gone. As if decades had passed since anyone last disturbed it. They stumbled outside to find dawn breaking over the city. Birds sang. Life moved on, unaware of what nearly crossed over into their world. For a week, Jason heard nothing. No whispers. No tapping. The app on his phone was gone. It was as if the nightmare had been wiped clean. But on the 8th night, as he prepared for bed, his phone buzzed. A new notification: "See you next dead hour, Jason. Bring friends." And faintly, almost lost in the hum of the night, he thought he heard it again. Tap. 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 Jason didn't sleep that night. He sat in his living room, staring at the blank screen of his phone. The message replayed in his mind like a broken record. "See you next dead hour, Jason. Bring friends." He knew the silence room wouldn't be enough next time. The whispering ones had adapted. They had tasted his fear and would find a new way through. But what if he could bring the fight to them instead? Over the next few days, Jason gathered his allies, those he found in obscure forums and chat rooms dedicated to the supernatural. Skeptics, mystics, and technomancers. People who believed, because they'd seen the cracks too. Maya remained by his side, her skepticism melting into a quiet resolve. Together, they prepared a counter-ritual, the severance. A dangerous rite designed not to seal the veil, but to collapse the Whispering One's bridge into his world. But the severance demanded a terrible price. Someone would need to step into the Whispering Realm and close the gate from the other side. Jason didn't hesitate. If anyone would pay the price, it was him. July 6th, 3:33 a.m. The dead hour. The group gathered inside the silence room, now reinforced with ancient runes, EM shielding, and analog tape recorders to disrupt digital interference. Candles burned low. Each person recited the severance verses as the veil began to thin. Then came the knock. Tap. 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 The room darkened. The ember-eyed figures bled from the shadows, more solid than before. They spoke in a chorus of countless voices: "Invite us again. Share your mind. Be our window." Jason stepped forward, clutching the old key, now burning hot in his palm. "No more invitations," he said. "I revoke my welcome." The air screamed. A rift tore open in the floor, a swirling vortex of crimson fog and glitching shadows. Jason turned to Maya, giving her a faint smile. "When it's over, delete the app. Destroy everything." Jason, no, but he was already gone, swallowed by the rift. The Whispering Realm was a nightmare of endless corridors lined with windows looking into countless worlds. Figures pressed against the glass, their faces shifting between joy, terror, and nothingness. The Whispering One surrounded him. They didn't attack, they observed. Studied. Waited. "Why close the door when we have so much to offer?" they whispered. "We gave you glimpses of forever. Pain is fleeting. We are eternal." Jason ignored them. He followed the only thread of light in this realm, a distant echo of the silence room, a place of stillness in the chaos. He ran toward it. In the silence room's reflection within the Whispering Realm, Jason found the core window, a massive, ancient frame through which the Whispering Ones first saw his world. It pulsated like a living thing. He raised the key and whispered the severance words one last time. No sight. No sound. No door. He plunged the key into the heart of the window. A blinding shockwave erupted, flinging the Whispering Ones backward. They shrieked, an unearthly, distorted sound, as the realm cracked and splintered like glass under immense pressure. The core window shattered. In the silence room, Maya and the others felt the tremor as the portal snapped shut. Their candles extinguished. The terminal screen went dark. Silence. Real silence. Jason was gone. Days passed. Then weeks. No whispers. No tapping. The Night Whispers app could no longer be found, even in the deepest corners of the dark web. Maya often returned to the silence room, now abandoned once more. She would sit in the center, listening to the emptiness Jason had fought so hard to protect. But one night, as the clock struck 3:33 a.m., she heard something. A single, faint knock from deep within the walls. Tap. And a voice. Familiar. Calm. Not menacing. "It's okay. I'm still watching." The doors closed. "Rest now." Tears filled Maya's eyes. She smiled, placed her hand on the wall, and whispered back. "Rest well, Jason." Outside, the city slept peacefully, the veil quiet once more. But the dead hour would always return. And somewhere, beyond broken glass and darkened screens, a lone figure stood watch. Jason. Guardian of the silence. The weeks after Jason's sacrifice passed like a fog rolling over the city. The night air felt cleaner, quieter. Maya found herself walking home late from work without that creeping feeling of being watched. Streetlights no longer flickered at 3:33 a.m. Phones stayed silent, and the whispers that once haunted her dreams faded into stillness. She tried to return to a normal life. Coffee shops, books, laughter with friends who'd never know how close the world had come to the edge of something terrible. But there were nights when she'd wake up just before dawn, heart racing, ears straining for a sound she hoped never to hear again. And yet, there was peace. A fragile peace, but peace nonetheless. One night, unable to sleep, Maya returned to the silence room. Dust had begun to settle again. The candles, long since extinguished, rested where they had fallen. The silence room felt like a mausoleum now, a resting place for Jason's courage, his sacrifice. She sat in the middle of the room and spoke softly to the walls, unsure if her voice would carry beyond this world. "You did it, Jason. You saved us." The quiet enveloped her like a warm blanket. Not the oppressive silence of before, but something gentle. Comforting. Protective. And in that stillness, she heard it, faint but clear. Always watching. Sleep now. No tap followed. No darkness crept in. Just the soft assurance of a friend watching over her from beyond the veil. Maya smiled, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Good night, Jason." She left the silence room that night for the last time, locking the door behind her, leaving the past where it belonged. Life went on. The forums where Jason once sought help faded into inactivity. The Night Whispers app became an urban legend, a ghost story told to scare curious minds away from digital darkness. And the silence room was eventually sealed, its existence erased from city blueprints, hidden from those who might stumble across it. But every year, on July 6th, at 3:33 a.m., Maya would sit quietly by her window. No candles, no chants, no fear. Just a moment of remembrance for the friend who faced the darkness so others wouldn't have to. And some nights, when sleep crept over her like a soft tide, she'd dream of Jason. Standing tall. Calm. Silent. Guarding the threshold where nightmares once whispered. Far beyond the waking world, past broken realms and forgotten voices, Jason walked alone along the boundary of the whispering realm. But he was not afraid. He had become something more, the sentinel between worlds. And in that endless quiet, where the dead hour held no sway, he smiled. The door was closed. The night was safe. For now.